And Ambrose Weda, who's in studio this morning, just to tell us what these papers are covering and why they are covering these stories as the most important on this Monday morning. And we start off with the Standard newspaper this morning. It tells us how Uhuru got the numbers in 3 hours. Now we're going back to that event where, from the double dealing, as the paper says, underground, the dramatic account of 4 Rift Valley senators and other allies deserted the deputy president moments before the 45-minute meeting at the State House that sacked Senator Kipchumba Murkomen and Susan Kihika from powerful positions in Parliament. And these are the events that took place last week. But this paper is going to give us the underground dealings that were happening. And if you want to know more about this particular story and the explanations that were being given, you can take a look at page 5 of this paper. It says how DP's allies left him at this hour of need. The Kapseret MP spills the beans on how senators from DP camp failed to rise to the occasion when they were badly needed. What do you make of this, Mr. Weda?
Thank you so much. The last time we were here, we said when the president is across the room, it's very difficult for the crop of MPs that we have, the crop of senators, to raise up their hands and say, Your Excellency,
right,
can't we pause to think? They would not do that, quite a number of them. Okay, some of them also know that if you raise your hand, either KRA will be unleashed on you or the DCI will be unleashed on you somehow, because you look at your wardrobe,
yes,
your closet, and you know the skeletons in there, and you say it's not worth it. But on the other hand, I think if, let's say, they called Mheshimiwa Ruto and asked him, Your Excellency, we are facing this, I think you look at what is at stake.
Okay.
And you'd be able to say, is it worth the battle? Is it worth confronting the president?
Right.
Having the majority leader removed. Do we need to fight on that? Having the deputy removed or the chief whip, do we need to fight on that? And you see, veteran warriors may simply say it's not worth it.
Okay.
Especially knowing that he's in the position of the deputy president. And the way of deputy presidents in Kenya, or the way of deputies, is that a time comes when your first enemy becomes your boss. They hit you hard. Look at the deputy governors.
Right.
Look at Kiambu governor, look at Nairobi governor. Igade had to leave. Immediately Babaya was elected, he stopped talking to the current Kiambu governor. Look at President Mwai Kibaki,
right,
when he was President Moi's deputy. Look at what he went through. Look at the late Saitoti. At one time, he woke up, we are told, he came out of states and found even the vehicles were gone. So it is the way. Anybody who has been in this country,
yes,
if you are deputy, you know a time comes when you have to carry some cross, either for preparation for future, or if you play it badly, you sink.
Yes.
So here, I think even if I was in the deputy president's place, I would say, it is not worth fighting the president now.
Right.
Let us bide our time. What is critical is timing. So those who are saying that they abandoned the deputy president, I think they should appreciate the heat that you receive when the presidents are across the table. And I know the president can sometimes throw a lot of tantrums. So imagine facing him. You don't know what he can do.
Absolutely.
When he's saying, hey, are you the one who said, then you're like, Your Excellency, just remove it.
It would have been a big ask of them to actually show support in this particular moment, quite heated moment right there. And we also what happened and what followed, those who had actually been quite outspoken as the allies of the DP. But in the same breath, we are being told the main headline this morning is Ruto breaks his silence. Now, we are being told we're being given on the top front page of the Standard his survival kit, a sort of political survival kit. And as the paper says, he is cornered. Embattled DP William Ruto hosts close allies in a private meeting in Nairobi to plot a fight back. And number one on this particular apparent survival kit is he dismisses the purge, targeted at his allies as part of the scheme to push him to quit, but vows to stay put. And then then, number 2, he advises Duale, Kindiki and other allies facing the sack in Parliament to give up posts if pressure mounts. I wonder what you think about this number 2 survival kit, because Mr. Weda, because would they actually give up the posts? Do you think this would be a measure of their loyalty to the DP? And number 3 is no public spat with Uhuru. He has maintained that he will not be or rather pushed into having a public back and forth with his boss. And number 4, he says that he's going to have number 4 is that he's going to have a tactical retreat and ask appointment to avoid frontal attacks on the emerging coalition that we are seeing ongoing right now. What do you make of this survival kit that has been outlined on the stand?
One thing I think I'm clear about is the Deputy President is not going to make the very mistake that Honorable Raila's father made, and that is to resign, to walk away.
Right.
He is going to take the position of a martyr. He's going to get as much sympathy as he wants, and as people can give, by staying put and enduring the suffering. I can see that he's a man who is banking on his age. He's looking, if I don't get it 2022, 2032, I still have a chance. 2052, I may still be there, because you can't judge it from where Honorable Raila is. So looking at it, I think the survival kit will be, he will not have a public spat with the president.
Yes.
If he will be, it will be through parables and riddles, but nothing direct. He will always say, the president's mutu wa mkono and things like that. Secondly, I don't think his team, he will ask them to resign. He would rather they are removed so that they attract sympathy. Especially at this time when the country is closed and there's nothing much, they can't reach the people.
Yes.
There will be no spot. But looking at it and saying that he's embattled, I think that is overreaching. The president is playing his game. The deputy is still quiet. But time is running out for the president.
Yeah.
He's the one who, if he does not move, because he has to cobble in a team that will revamp the economy.
Yeah.
And this time it will be like the deputy says, you people, you did it, I'm out. If some things don't work, take the blame.
But then the language that's being used this morning on the dailies seem to be pointing to the fact to an embattled president, because even on the Daily Nation this morning, we're told warfare. It shows that they are on opposing sides, even though we are told on the Standard that he has said he won't be, attacking having a public spat with his boss. In the grand scheme of things, this is according to the Daily Nation, once the leaders of the parties form a coalition government with the president, with President Kenyatta, the DP will be pushed into the cold ahead of the general election, and this apparently is the inside plan to push Ruto into the opposition. And you feel like he is playing the martyr mode. How would that play out if this indeed is the plan?
I think the president may, the president may gather his team.
Yeah.
So that for now the battle is between him and the deputy.
Yeah.
But then in the run-up to power, the president will have to contend with where do you put Honorable Raila, where do you put Honorable Kalonzo, where do you put all these people. On the other hand, the deputy president may be having his troops set for 2022 or 2032.
Right.
When they know by natural attrition, some of the key players, his enemies, will not be there, whether they want or not. Even if we are not saying they'll be dead, but we are saying they'll be too weak and too feeble
politically
to exert the amount of energy. So looking at it, you will notice that the jostling, that the team that the president is crafting,
yes,
is essentially for now to put the deputy president in a way that he should give up.
Yeah.
But I don't see him doing that.
Yeah.
He knew that what you need is a lot of money, which he seemed to have amassed. Then he knew the second thing you need is young people around you, which he ensured they were elected. He also knows that you need to show generosity. And he exhibited it. So what remains here is timing. And this timing is where the difference will come. Does he get his timing correct? Does the president get his timings correct?
Yes.
Whoever gets his timings correct will emerge victorious.
Yes. And then we, speaking of that, the whole, basically most of the paper, the political bits actually are just pointing to the deputy president. He seems to be the biggest story this morning. And we're told on page 3 of the Standard, Moi moves to shut Ruto out of Rift Valley in supremacy war. We're seeing it on the page 2 in the secret plan to push Ruto into the opposition wing, as we have analyzed just a minute ago. And then we have Uhuru targets DP's Mount Kenya allies in a fresh purge on Senate. Under the Commonwealth practice, Senator Irungu Kangata says, and party rules, lawmakers have specific agenda of pushing party positions both in and out of Parliament. And the campaign to rid Senate off of DP loyalists continues, with committee members next in line. And pictured here, some of his known allies, including Kandara MP Alice Wahome. What do you make of the future of these people, politically speaking, even before the 2022 elections?
One of the reasons why you are removed from committees is to deny you the extra allowances, to reduce your economic ability.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you look at our Senate, there's no serious impact that you can say. The other thing would be, if you are preparing to use the Senate as a court for impeachment purposes, then these offices, people have to push papers, people have to make decisions, and if the DP's allies are there, then they will delay things. Yes. And yet here, time is of essence. If they want to impeach the deputy president using these processes, then it has to move fast, because the president has only this year. Absolutely. Next year, people are facing the run-up to elections.
Yes.
And then we also have the economic impact, negative impact as a result of COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
So there is a rush. How do you fasten these things? Remove this allies so that when the paper comes, you don't have to read it. The same way they did the constitutional amendment bill. You just do things and you send them. That could be the second reason. Other than that, whether they're in office, whether Kithure Kindiki is in office or is not, it doesn't matter to Kenyans.
Right.
It doesn't matter to anybody. What matters is how many people do you have supporting you? Let's take, for instance, Honorable Raila. He doesn't have those people in those committees. Yeah. But because he has a huge number of people following him, he has a lot of voice.
Right.
Whether he does not have them and does not have people following him, you have no voice.
Yes.
So as long as the deputy president has a chunk of wananchi following him in Rift Valley, sometimes in some places in Central, and Nairobi and Mombasa, it does not matter whether his ally is leading the Senate or is not leading the Senate.
Right. Now, aside from that, you talked about the ODM party leader, Raila Odinga, and it pulls my attention to page 3 of the Daily Nation, where we are told that Raila has said the virus only paused BBI reggae. It did not halt it. What do you make of this halting of the reggae, and do you think it's time that it came back, as it's being pointed out here by nominated MP Godfrey of Sotsi, who has said there is a bill that signifies the BBI process is not dead, as claimed by naysayers. The BBI is very much alive. This BBI, the BBI report and the ongoing reorganization of the majority side in Parliament are some of the building blocks towards having it actualized, as many had hoped before the COVID-19 mayhem took over. What do you make of the progress right now, and do you think it's going to gain momentum like it had before this interruption?
I think the reggae that was being talked about were the rallies and the dancing.
Yeah.
That was it. They were dancing reggae. In fact, I remember the president singing Red Wine. I remember Honorable Raila singing here. And we said they should learn to sing to Tendereza, because this is Jehovah's country. Yes. It's Jehovah's universe.
Yes.
And then this thing came. That is when we said, okay, when they had said nobody can stop reggae.
Right.
So I still urge my the leader, Honorable Raila Odinga, and the president, please give God a chance and give God first. This thing of nobody can, it has been paused. These are signs that it can stop.
Right.
What there is that the new, after COVID-19 pandemic, there will be new perspectives.
Right.
It will not be the usual old big rallies and jumping. And I think they have taken the cue during this period.
Yes.
They want to run as quickly as possible to take advantage. That's why the bill has been published. Parliamentarians will be called and asked very quickly to move it. Meanwhile, you can't go around and the people don't know what is happening.
Yes.
It's to take advantage. It's like doing things at night quickly. So that when daybreak comes, people find it is too late, the whole place has been demolished. You've seen most demolitions are done at night when people can't riot, when people can't fight back, so that when it is daybreak, they're told the house is gone, just go out. That, I think, is the new face of it. But looking at it, I would say let's not do things which are also painting us in bad light. The constitution we are making is for the whole of this country. It's not about reggae, it's not about whatever. It's about our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Right.
And that they should know about very carefully.
Yeah, and do you think that would be actually possible with the naysayers being as hawk-eyed as they are?
I'm telling you, if there was a level playing ground, and the constitutional amendment, the referendum would be defeated. That would be there. If the referees were not playing hard, you know, if you are a footballer and the referee is the one who has stepped on you, who will blow the whistle? If, let's say, President Uhuru, my president, was to say, if you want the constitution amended, these are the proposals.
Right.
Please campaign, let the people talk, let the people, the way President Kibaki left it in 2007. Think about it, here it's the constitution. If it was left that way and their campaigns, I think the priority Kenyans have is not about the constitution. It's about the economy, jobs, food security. It's not about which governor is not holding which position and who is outside, who should be made prime minister, who should be made deputy, who is being left in. And even if you are to bring every other person into government,
yes,
I really don't think it creates national unity. It just gives people post and then they become quiet.
Yeah.
But new people come. Who would ever have imagined that now Senator Kipchumba Murkomen would start being the face of opposition? The deputy president, Honorable William Samuel Ruto, would now be thought of as the opposition.
Yes.
So the people will emerge, things will emerge. It emerges.
Yes.
And therefore, let's not cast things in stone. Let's just build the economy. And then we move on.
Okay, and let's shift focus to education and how it's being covered in the dailies this morning. On page 6 and 7 of the Standard this morning is focusing squarely on that, and we're told about a case, rather, well, they're making a case for the postponement of this year's KCSE exams. There was a lot of questioning about how we're going to move forward and whether the calendar will be adhered to, given the delays that have been brought on by schools being closed because they don't want the coronavirus to spread. So right now, the ministry actually pointed out that they're going to, once schooling resumes, they will go back to the same point they left off. But the question is this going to be a crash program, or what's going to happen right now? So on page 6, we're told more than a third of schools sampled have only covered between 20 to 50% of this year's syllabus. So should these exams actually be postponed for the sake of the students who are going to be sitting for these exams, or should we just go ahead with things as they had been planned and do a sort of crash and program, cramming everything together just to meet the deadlines and the set calendar that is with the education system?
Two things. One, you can have the exams in December.
Yeah.
In November, December. But that is on the basis that you have a cutoff on what is set. You say, for instance, we are going to take up to Form 4 exam, Form 4 material, Form 4 syllabus, first term.
Yeah.
So we are going from Form 4 first term backwards to Form 3, Form 2, Form 1. Then we can have exams in December, November, December. Alternatively, we can push the exams to April next year. But that is on the presumption that we set a date when the schools reopen. For now, I think the minister is flip-flopping. One morning they say we're opening on 1st June. Another morning he says, oh, my children, my grandchildren cannot go back to school. Right. Another morning he says there's online learning. That flip-flopping is what should stop, so that you decide For now, the schools are closed up to, let's say, September. That is the date we have fixed, unless by that time we look and say the pandemic issues are still dire.
Yeah,
then we change. But otherwise, we project. There must be projection. There must be simulation of figures, of data that tells you that by this time, things have gone to normal. But now when the minister is whining and dining, every other person is whining, no dates here and there, it becomes difficult. I see that either we set to open in September, in which event we have exams in April. If we open in September, we have them in August. Or if we are going to have them in December, then we only have time for revision and reduced testing area.
Okay.
So let us not, for instance, we cannot have a crash program with children. These people are children.
Yes.
They can't take in the COVID quarantine stress.
Yes.
Then you add with it the pandemic. Then you add with it the stress of compressed syllabus. They are not dying. These children, most of them are very young. In fact, some of them should not even be in secondary school. Some of them should be taking milk at home before they you'll find in secondary school there are some people who are 11.
Yes.
So there is time. We are yet even to understand the implications of the pandemic after.
Yes.
It was said, COVID does not attack children. Now it is emerging. We don't know because there are things emerging. Even those who have been affected or infected and have recovered, we do not know the aftermath.
Yes.
So when you hear even some presidents talking and yapping, you just know that the devil is fat. We should not subject the children to more stress than what they are going through now and what they may go through after.
And this whole article was based on a study that was basically trying to figure out what people feel should be done about the scheduling of the exams. We're told, excuse me, that over 900,000 said no to that being taken, the exams being taken as scheduled, and yes, 700,000 plus were the people who said yes to that question. So it only remains we put it on time. We'll see what the ministry decides as far as this is concerned, to see whether the kids go back to school and continue as planned, or some amendments shall be done to the schedule in order to help them keep up with what is going on in the real world. But we're going to take a short break on that note. When we come back, we'll have the way it is. We'll be taking a look at the very latest in the political and current affairs scenes, focusing squarely on COVID-19 and how the region is trying to curb its spread. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll be right here with more for you on Morning Express.